Donc, Abdou, vous êtes là. Vous pouvez vous mettre en mute. Il va falloir qu'on fasse des tests. Donc là, voilà, vous êtes mis en mute, Abdou, parfait, merci. Donc, vous serez amené à prendre la parole. Là, je vous explique en français, on va démarrer en anglais tout à l'heure. Vous pourrez être amené à prendre la parole par écrit ou par oral. Par écrit, on communique sur questions courtes, d'accord? Et à l'oral, il suffit de m'indiquer sur ce forum questions courtes que vous voulez parler. Et dans ce cas-là, je vous donne la parole et on parle juste à partir de là. Voilà, donc Gaëtan est en train d'écrire, c'est parfait. Les gens sont là en effet, je vais faire l'appel. Alors, c'est vraiment la technologie à l'état pur. Je suis entourée de plusieurs ordinateurs, un ordinateur pour faire l'appel, un ordinateur pour Discord. Alors, Alexis Boulin, pouvez-vous m'écrire si vous êtes là? Je vous vois, vous êtes mis en mute. Pouvez-vous me dire oui? Est-ce qu'Alexis Boulin est là? Il faut écrire sur question courte, s'il vous plaît. Alexis, je ne peux pas vous mettre présent si vous ne m'écrivez pas. Est-ce que... Oui, c'est ici. Bravo, Jérémy. Alors, Jérémy, vous êtes là. Je vous mets présent. Alors, je continue de faire l'appel. Alexis, vous allez trouver peut-être... vous pouvez aider Alexis. Abdou, pardon. Vous êtes là. Enfin, Abdulrahman Kassab. Vous êtes là? Donc, vous pouvez écrire oui sur question courte. Vous voyez, c'est tout en haut. Dans les salons textuels, vous avez question de cours. C'est ici qu'on peut dialoguer. D'accord? Alors, ensuite, Gaëtan, vous êtes là. Wissam, il faut écrire que vous êtes là également. Jérémy, vous êtes là. Mathias Vigourou, je ne l'ai pas vu. Et ensuite, Léopold Vino. Et après, Samy Zitouni. Voilà. Alors, du coup, je ne vous ai pas encore vu m'écrire si ce n'est Jérémy et Gaëtan. Donc, faites-le s'il vous plaît. Voilà. Alors, j'ai besoin de votre retour avant de démarrer. On attend encore un tout petit peu. Noémie Roy, vous n'appartenez pas au salon, s'il vous plaît. On ne peut pas faire des choses en douce ici. Alors, Jérémy, est-ce qu'on peut tester votre micro si vous enlevez le mute? Est-ce qu'on peut vous écouter? Ok, faut regarder. On va faire ça pour tout le monde, d'accord? Donc, Abdou, Alexis, Gaëtan, Jérémy, on va vous écouter. Abdou, on commence avec vous? Est-ce que vous pouvez, alors je me sens très seule, est-ce que vous pouvez au moins écrire sur la partie question courte? Pour l'instant, Gaëtan a réussi à le faire et Jérémy aussi. Normalement, ça ne devrait pas être compliqué. Voilà. Vous n'arrivez pas à activer le micro, c'est le début, hein, ça va marcher. Alexis, vous avez enlevé. Vous pouvez parler maintenant.
Oui, là je parle. Alors en fait, c'était juste pour signaler, et Abdou est dans le même cas, c'est que nous n'avons pas accès au channel questions courtes, donc nous ne pouvons pas écrire sur ce canal écrit.
Est-ce que vous pouvez demander à Alexandre Fabre, qui est le modérateur, de vous ajouter?
D'accord, bon, je le fais tout de suite.
Permettre que vous puissiez écrire. Je vais lui envoyer un message tout de suite. Alors.
Et je crois que Mathias aussi dans ce cas.
D'accord. Alors, il faut que tout le monde écrive à Alexandre Fabre. Je lui écris tout de suite. Alexandre Fabre. Alors. Voilà. Donc, déjà, si vous pouvez parler à l'oral, c'est déjà ça. Donc, pour vous, Alexis, c'est bon. D'accord. Ensuite, Gaëtan, pouvez-vous essayer de faire marcher votre micro? Bon, je vais démarrer le cours. De toute façon, il est enregistré. Si jamais il y a un quelconque problème, il faut écrire à Alexandre Fabre. Je démarre, d'accord? Donc, on se familiarise avec tout ça. Vous pouvez commencer à interagir si vous le pouvez. Voilà. So, we are going to study Act 2, Scene 5 today, okay? In this scene, Juliet is anxious. She's quick-tempered And we must remember that she is an adolescent. She's waiting for Romeo. Actually, she's waiting for the nurse, and the nurse has a news, and she's waiting for this news. So she thinks that the nurse is sluggish. She thinks that she acts like people who are dead, you know? And the nurse is making fun of Juliet because she knows that Romeo agreed to get married with her, but actually she's going to play a trick with a sour face. And this is what we are going to discover. So let's read this scene. It begins with Juliet. The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. Oui?
C'est quoi le problème?
Alexandre, on est en train d'enregistrer. Le problème, c'est de faire par écrit.
Ok, je vais faire ça.
Thank you very much. So, the clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. In half an hour, she promised to return. Perchance, she cannot meet him. What does it mean, perchance, please? Is it possible to tell me meaning, to give the meaning of this?
Par hasard.
Yes, Alexis, thank you very much. Was it Alexis?
Oui,
yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
It means perhaps, maybe in an English word.
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me give you an example. If they perchance get laid off, the system will be there to protect them. Si par hasard, dans le cas où ils seraient licenciés, le système les protégerait. Je vous répète, if they perchance get laid off, the system will be there to protect them. Perchance, P-E-R-C-H-A-N-C-E, it means happenstance, it means dans le cas où. In half an hour, she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. So Juliet is anxious and she imagines the possibility of the nurse not having met Romeo, okay? That's not so. Oh, she is lame. Love's heralds should be thoughts which 10 times faster glide than the sun's beams, driving back shadows of the lowering hills. Is it possible to give me the definition of, or something that can be synonymous with lame? Okay? Lame?
Shame.
No, it's not shame. It rhymes, but it's not shame. Lame means, for example, let me give you a hint. A lame duck. What is a lame duck, please?
A duck which are ugly, awful. No.
It's not really this. Yes, canard boiteux. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, so we improved a lot because we can use the written form or the oral form now. So, lame duck means canard boiteux. Excellent. Thank you, Jeremy. And a lame excuse. You can also find this phrase. A lame excuse. What is a lame excuse? Can you give me the translation? Lame excuse is une mauvaise excuse. Okay, so lame can mean boiteux, mauvais. So actually, we understand that Juliet is insulting the nurse. She's lame, elle est boiteuse, elle est mauvaise, elle n'est pas efficace. Love's heralds should be thoughts which... My cat, sorry. Love's heralds should be thoughts which 10 times faster glide than the sun's beams. Heralds, is it possible to give me a synonymous of an equivalent of heralds? You can take the written version to follow more easily. Heralds, H-E-R-A-L-D-S, heralds. That's the same, it does exist in French also, that's the same in French. So, heralds means des héros, mais au sens d'annonciateur, d'accord? Au sens de, si vous voulez, de messager, d'accord? Okay, heralds.
Ça s'écrit avec un T à la fin. Does it is written with a T at the end in French?
Thank you, Alexis. Yes. In French,
okay.
Héros, H-E-R-A-U-T-S, and in English,
okay.
H-E-R-A-L-D-S. Exactly. Thank you. heralds. Yes, so here, love's heralds should be thoughts. Les messagers de l'amour, les annonciateurs de l'amour, les héros de l'amour devraient être des pensées which 10 times faster glide than the sun's beams, driving back shadows over lowering hills. Lowering, this is not a word that you're going to find today. It means dark, okay? Therefore, do nimble pinion doves draw love and therefore have the wind swift cupid wings. Swift, can you give me the definition, please?
Rapide.
Thank you very much. For example, the swift movements of the player are spectacular. You're excellent, thank you. Wind swift, so the speed of the wind. Now is the sun upon the highest hill of this day's journey, and from 1912 is 3 long hours, yet she is not come. So Juliet is very impatient. She's quick-tempered, as we said. She's an adolescent, and it's been 3 hours that she has been waiting for Romeo, for the nurse. Had she affections and warm, youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball. My words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. But all folks many fain as they were dead, unwieldy, slow, heavy, and pale as lead. So, is it possible to tell me what bandy means? B-A-N-D-Y, bandy. It's a little difficult actually here.
To hit her?
That's quite good. Yes, that's the meaning actually. Faire circuler, affoler, c'est l'idée d'aller vers, enfin, ces mots iraient vers bandy her to my sweet love. Voilà, circulerait vers elle en direction de mon amour, c'est ça. Many fain as they were dead, unwieldy. Okay, unwieldy. An equivalent for this, please.
Ne cède pas.
Qui ne cède pas? Ah, yes. Wieldy.
No,
yes.
to wield. No. To wield.
Yes,
To wield the
to
weapon.
wield, to yield, it's not to. Is it Abdou?
Oui.
Hi, Abdou. Yes, it's
Hi.
not the same letter. It begins with a W.
To wield a weapon, it's to carry a weapon, so that doesn't want to carry, maybe, unwieldy?
Unwieldy means encombrant. Unwieldy. Yield, céder, CDA, and unwieldy, encombrant. Okay? Yes. So, pale as lead. Is it possible that someone explains the difference between lead and lead, please? There's the same spelling.
I don't know.
You don't have to?
It's the past of lead or the same writing?
Yes, but it's not the verb. It's just the noun.
It must be an animal, something like that.
Lead, it means feathers of lead. You remember, Romeo says that he has feathers of lead.
Okay.
Le plomb?
Yes, exactly. It means that, plomb. But what's the difference between lead and lead? Here, I said as pale as lead. You can also say as pale as lead. What's the difference? British English, American English. You understand? So in British English, I think I already mentioned this previously in a course. Feathers of lead in American English, feathers of lead in British English. Okay? So let's talk about this. So you remember here the nurse is sluggish. Elle est morose. Elle est léthargique. She is going to play a trick over Juliet. She's going to say that she's suffering all the time. So let's continue. Oh God, she comes. Oh, honey nurse, what news? Hast thou met with him? Send thy man away. Peter, stay at the gate. Now, good sweet nurse, oh Lord, why looks thou sad? What news be sad? Yet tell them merrily. Merrily, an equivalent, please.
Solely?
Solely?
Only?
Only? No,
Only?
merrily. Merrily. The confusion is with Mir. Mir. No,
yes.
Yes. Who is talking, please?
Alexis.
Alexis. Yes. Merrily, happily. Okay, Merry Christmas. You know, it's Merry Christmas. So, tell them merrily, if good, thou shamest the music of sweet news by playing it to me with so sour a face. Sour, what does it mean? Aigre doux, okay? Yes. I am weary, give me leave. Today we would not say this. We would say I am weary. What does it mean to be weary?
Anxieux, inquiet plutôt. Non, méfiant.
Not exactly. It's a negative feeling. I agree, but it's not really this. It's a very short word in French. Very short, 3 letters.
Weary.
Yes, thank you, Jeremy. Las, I'm weary. I can feel a very strong fatigue. The word fatigue does exist, you know. Give me leave a while. It means I want to be by myself. How my bones ache. What a jaunt have I. Jaunt. Jaunt. Is it possible to give me an equivalent, please? What is synonymous with jaunt? Jaunt. Jaunt. Actually, it means escapade, excursion, voyage. What a jaunt have I? It means, oh, I have spent the whole day running and running and running. And you can say today, what a jaunt have I? Jaunt. Juliet, I would thou hadst my bones, and I find news. Nay, come, I pray thee, speak, good nurse, speak. So as we said, Juliet is impatient. Jesus, what haste! Can you not stay a while? Do you not see that I am out of breath? So as we said, the nurse is mocking Juliet. She's poking fun on her, you know, because she knows that she's really impatient, but she's going to tell her that she's out of breath. And Juliet is going to answer, how art thou out of breath, when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath? The excuse that thou dost make in this delay is longer than the tale thou dost excuse. Is thy good news or bad? Answer to that. Say either, and I'll state the circumstance. Let me be satisfied. Is it good or bad? Juliet is a little paradoxical here because at the same time she's really impatient, but she's also saying that she's going to accept all the different answers that the nurse is able to give to her. Is the news good or bad? Well, you have made a simple choice. You know not how to choose a man. Romeo, no, not he. Though his face be better than any man's, yet his leg excels all men's, and for a hand and a foot and a body, though they be not to be talked on, yet they are past compare. What is she doing here? What is the nurse doing in this passage?
She's kind of demeaning Juliet. I mean, Romeo's not that great.
Yes.
I mean, he looks good, but he's not. He looks good. He's amazing, but he's not amazing. It's a bit paradoxical.
Yes, I think she's insulting him in a way. Okay, because she says that Juliet doesn't know how to choose a man. So in a way, she's both insulting Juliet and Romeo. She's prejudiced. We discover that she's prejudiced against Romeo. You know, she has bias. Okay, she's biased. Demeaning. You used the word demeaning. What does it mean? Is it possible to answer this question?
Rabaisser.
Yes, I know. I know you know the word you use, but just I was asking other students. Yes, rabaisser, méprisant, humiliant. That's good. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Abdou. So, the nurse is prejudiced and she doesn't like Romeo. She thinks Romeo is not the good choice for Juliet, you know? So she's going to tell her that directly. And then there's an interesting metaphor. She's going to say, he's not the flower of courtesy. What does it mean? Do you remember we studied Acts 2, Scene 4 last time, and you've got a lot of elements to answer this question.
She means he's not really polite because his friend has been kind of insulting her, so he's not the flower of courtesy. He's not the most gentle, polite man there is.
Yes, that's it. You remember Mercutio and Benvolio were so rude. They were so impolite. When they saw her, they said, "Oh, a sail," and Romeo was not preventing them from doing this. So he didn't participate in this actively, we can say, but he never prevented them from doing this, as we said. You understand? So this is why she says, okay, he was not a flower of courtesy. Mm-hmm. And remember that the nurse is much more subtle than what we could think. Romeo is not the flower of courtesy, it's a metaphor, but I will warrant him as gentle as a lamb. Okay, so Benvolio and Mercutio mocked her. And to warrant, what does it mean? W-A-R-R-A-N-T. Let's play the game.
Garantir.
Garantir.
That's good. Excellent. Garantir. So I warrant as gentle as lamb. Go 5 ways. Wench. Wench is an insult. what does it mean? It's not a very strong insult, but it's not a nice word. Wench. W-E-N-C-H. It means jeune fille, mais un peu. Si vous voulez une traduction, ça pourrait être grelu. Enfin, c'est pas très, c'est un peu péjoratif. Hein? Wench. So, serve God. What? Have you dined at home? No, but all this did I know before. What says he of our marriage? What of that? Lord, my head aches. So you can recognize that the nurse is playing a trick on Juliet. What a head have I! It beats as it would fall in 20 pieces. My back at the other side. Oh, my back. Be sure you're hard for sending me about to catch my death with jaunting up and down. Be sure it's impossible to find this today. It means curse. Curse your heart for sending me running all the town. You understand? And to jaunt, we saw that before. What does it mean? To jaunt? J-A-U-N-T. Gaëtan? Can you use your microphone, Gaëtan? Can we listen to you? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't work. I don't know how to help you. Can you ask Alexandre, perhaps? So, Alexis, for example. Alexis, what does it mean? J-A-U-N-T.
Escapade.
Excellent, that's good. So, to catch my death with jaunting up and down, you can use it today, okay? Juliet, Faith, I'm sorry that thou art not well. Sweet, good nurse, tell me, what says my love? Your love says, like an honest gentleman, you don't pronounce the H, honest, and a courteous, and a kind, and a handsome, and I warrant a virtuous. Where is your mother? So, you know, she wants to have fun, and there's a trick here, of course. She doesn't want Juliet to hear the answer, but she's waiting for so much. Juliet, where is my mother? Why, she's within. Where should she be? How oddly thou repliest. Oddly, what does it mean?
Étonnant.
Oui, voilà.
Étrangement.
Étrangement, bravo. Your love says, like an honest gentleman. Oh, God's lady dear, are you so hot? Marry, come up, I trow. Is this the poultice for my aching bones? So is this a cure, she means? The poultice, you don't use this today. Henceforward, do your messages yourself. Therefore, henceforward. He's such a coil. It means, what does it mean, a coil? It means fuss. You're so fussy. Tu fais des histoires. Coil, à la base, ça veut dire une bobine. Ça veut dire, enfin, si vous voulez, coil, je fais une petite parenthèse en français, vous avez énormément de traductions différentes. C-O-I-L. Aujourd'hui, ça signifie bobine, spirale, chignon et même stérilé. Et vous comprenez qu'en fait, l'idée de la bobine, c'est l'idée de fils entremêlés, d'où l'idée de fuss. Okay? So, you could translate, you're making such a fuss. He is such a coil. Come, what says Romeo? Have you got leave to go to Shrift today? We saw this already. Shrift. What does it mean? To go to Shrift. You need to think of the Latin word. Scrivere.
De se confesser.
Excellent. Thank you. OK, la confession. C'est l'idée de décrire tout ce qu'on a sur le cœur. Scrivere, voici la racine de Shrift. Excellent. I have. Then hire you hands to Friar Lawrence's cell. First there's a husband to make you a wife. Now comes the wanton blood up in your cheeks. Wanton, W-A-N-T-O-N. Wanton? W-A-N-T-O-N, it means dévergondé, the wanton blood. For example, you've got a phrase, wanton violence. C'est l'idée de la violence gratuite, injustifiée. Et vous voyez ici, vous avez une opposition dans cette scène entre le caractère léthargique, mais finalement simulé, de la bonne, alors que Juliette est pleine de ce sang très frais, très vigoureux qui fait la jeunesse. This is why she talks about her wanton blood. Ce sang dévergondé, ce sang très vigoureux et très enjoué, très jeune. There will be in Scarlet straight at any news. Scarlet, please. Equivalent translation for Scarlet.
Rouge.
Écarlate.
Écarlate, thank you very much. Exactement. Hie you to church. I must know the way to the ladder, by the which your love must climb a bird's nest soon, when it is dark. So there is an implicit reference to sexuality, bird's nest. And then the nurse is going to continue. I am the drudge and toil in your delight. The drudge, D-R-U-D-G-E.
Fardeau.
The drudge, oui, c'est ça, c'est pas mal. The drudge, en fait, c'est la bête de somme. Drudge work, c'est exactement ça, c'est les corvées, le fardeau. Vous dites. Le fardeau, c'est plutôt burden. Mais en fait, vous êtes extrêmement proche. Hein. Drudge, ça va être les corvées, quoi. Et drudge work, les corvées, et the drudge, la bête de somme. Donc elle dit en gros, I'm the drudge. Ça peut soit être un adjectif, drudge work, ou bien le substantif, I am the drudge. And toil in your delight. To toil? What does it mean?
Se noyer.
Ah, is it possible to repeat?
Se noyer dans son plaisir, je sais pas.
To toil, en fait, ça veut vraiment dire travailler dur, mais c'est l'idée, donc T-O-I-L, c'est l'idée, enfin, toil, ça veut dire le labeur, vous comprenez, donc c'est vraiment l'idée d'un travail très ingrat. Donc, she's complaining, the nurse is complaining here, and she says that the drudge work is for her and for Juliet's delight. There is no opposition between Juliet's delight and the drudge work for the nurse. But you shall bear the burden soon at night. Go, I'll to dinner, hie you to the cell. Hie to high fortune, honest nurse, farewell. Okay, so Juliet is happy because she knows that she's going to marry Romeo. They're going to get married. So let's comment this passage, this scene. The nurse's head is pounding. It means that it aches a lot. Pounding, quelle est l'idée derrière pounding? C'est pounding.
Les coups, la répétition.
Excellent, le martèlement. Les coups et la répétition, c'est-à-dire très exactement le mélange des deux, donne l'idée de martèlement. C'est excellent, Alexis. So, Juliet is going to rub her back. Her back is aching, her head is aching, and Juliet is very impatient. Juliet thinks that the nurse is making a fuss, and she thinks the attitude of the nurse is quite strange. So we understand that the nurse will fetch a rope ladder at the end. And as we said, she's going to do the drudge work. So it's a very short scene, as you saw. And where is Juliet? She is in her room. She's in front of the Capulet's orchard, okay, le verger. So she's impatiently waiting for the nurse, whom she sent to meet Romeo 3 hours earlier. Whom? Qu'elle est allée envoyer chercher Romeo. Juliet presses her for news, and the nurse claims to be sore. You understand? She has a sore throat, not a sore throat, but her back is sore. Her whole body is sore. So Juliet goes frantic. Is it possible to give me the translation for frantic?
Folle.
Excellent. Affolée, éperdue, désespérée. She's frantic. And eventually the nurse gives in. Elle cède. She gives in. So the nurse departs to wait in the alley for Romeo's servant, who is to bring a ladder for Romeo to use to climb up to Juliet's chamber that night to consummate their marriage. Pay attention to the grammar here. The nurse departs to wait in the alley for Romeo's servant, who is to bring. C'est celui qui a été chargé de ramener l'échelle, finalement. La nourrice joue le rôle d'intermédiaire. Who is to bring, okay? Chamber. Cell, room. The nurse plays a little game, as we said, by refusing to tell Juliet anything and complaining about her aching back. Aching, sore, c'est l'idée d'inflammation. D'accord? She tells Juliet to run to Friar Lawrence's cell, and Romeo is waiting so they can get hitched. What does it mean to get hitched? Hitched. They can get hitched. That's the point of this scene. It's easy.
Se faire attraper?
No, hitched, it refers to the marriage. Ils peuvent se marier. Hitched. They can get hitched, okay? So, we see in this scene, this is one of the interesting, we see the teasing and relationship of a nurse, okay? Between the nurse and Juliet. So the nurse thinks Romeo is a poor choice. Un mauvais choix, vous pouvez dire a poor choice, okay? And she's a poor choice. He is a poor choice for her husband. So she tells her to go marry him anyway. That's a little strange, you know? Because he's a poor choice, but you can get hitched. So they can get hitched. It's a little strange, I think. I said anyway and not anyways. Is it possible to give me an explanation for this choice? What does it mean? What's the difference between anyway and anyways?
Anyways is a bit more common, more discussion.
Excellent. Anyways, it's only you can't see this on a written form, okay? Only when you talk casually with someone in an informal speech. Anyways, it's okay. It's not a mistake, But if you write something and if it's very formal, you would say anyway, without the S. Okay? Thank you. So this scene, of course, it represents the rising action that will ultimately result in the death of Romeo and Juliet. To result in, it means to have this consequence. So we understand that the nurse jokingly complains about her back. She jokingly. Vous voyez qu'on peut faire un adverbe à partir de jokes. She jokingly. La dernière fois, on avait vu jokester, les blagueurs, jokester, J-O-K-E-S, jokester, S-T-E-R, and now jokingly. So the nurse jokingly complains about her back to avoid telling Juliet about Romeo. We understand that she loves Juliet a lot, despite all this fuss. She wants the best for Juliet, and she ushers her off to Friar Lawrence. To usher, U-S-H-E-R. She ushers. Excellent, Abdou, thank you very much. This shows the nurse's compassionate side. So Juliet is displayed as both eager and accepting in the scene. We said this already. She's eager because she's impatient and she wants the nurse to tell her the truth. But she's accepting because she says, okay, no matter you will answer yes or no, I want this truth. She's both eager and accepting. Elle est à la fois avide et dans l'acceptation. She demands for news from Romeo, whether good or bad. She becomes more rebellious and free-willed as she runs off to get married. But at the beginning, she's just an adolescent and she's just impatient. So, as we already said, the nurse was slow delivering Romeo's message to the impatiently awaiting Juliet. Quelqu'un en attente, awaiting. A-W-A-I-T-I-N-G. Okay, so it's very important. This scene is really important because it serves to establish one plot point. Of course, Romeo and Juliet are going to get married, are going to get hitched. Okay. Okay. So in the opening lines of the scene, Juliet meditates on time, love, and how annoying all people can be sometimes. They act as if they were dead. They are sluggish. The rhythm is too slow. So really, there's a way for Shakespeare to reflect on age, actually. What does it mean to be young? What does it mean to be old? And here, old people annoy Juliet a lot. She's going to assume. What does it mean to assume?
Croire.
Yes, présumer. That the news is going. Yes, thank you very much. That the news is going to be bad. Okay. So here we understand that, as we said, the nurse thinks that Romeo is not a good choice. And it is a foolish choice if it is just his looks that had led her to pick Romeo, to pick Choisir. So Juliet's nurse makes sure Lady Capulet is nowhere around before giving the message. Is your mother there? She's nowhere around. And Juliet is hoping that Romeo did not change his mind. She's really anxious in this scene. So let's talk about grammar, just a little point. For the nurse, her picking Romeo is not wise. On ne peut pas dire ça en français. Si vous voulez, c'est l'équivalent de le fait qu'elle ait choisi Roméo n'est pas. Her picking Romeo is not wise. Her, H-E-R. Donc je vous invite à garder bien à bien garder ces constructions et à les utiliser dans vos partiels, les prochains partiels, qui normalement devraient avoir. So, as we said, the nurse is prejudiced against Romeo. And the nurse whines on aching bones. To whine, W-H-I-N-E. What does it mean, please?
Complaindre.
Se plaindre.
Se plaindre, voilà, se plaindre, c'est exactement ça. She tells Juliet that she's to go to Friar Lawrence's cell immediately. And then Juliet is going to hurry off in excitement. Évidemment, vous connaissez hurry. Là, vous pouvez rajouter off. D'accord? Donc, vous greffez cette préposition et ça va signifier, du coup, se dépêcher, être tout excité pour aller se marier avec Roméo. Juliet is going to hurry off. She hurries off in excitement. So, at the beginning of the scene, Juliet bemoans how long it seems to be taking. To bemoan, B-E-M-O-A-N.
Se plaindre encore? Geindre?
Oui, c'est plus déplorer. D'accord? Donc, bien sûr, vous êtes très proche en disant se plaindre, mais c'est regretter, déplorer. Vous avez l'idée de to bemoan. So, the nurse tells Juliet that she is to meet Romeo and Friar Lawrence today. She is to. Elle va les rencontrer. As a bonus, she will leave a ladder out. As a bonus, how would you translate, please?
En plus, en bonus.
En bonus,
En
en plus. Voilà, c'est un plus, c'est une prime en prime, par exemple, d'accord? So the newly married couple can spend the night together. This scene is, of course, a comic interlude in the plot. It slows things down, okay? And it gives the audience time to calm down. As we said, Juliet is so impatient that she's almost then demanding. There is a lot of childish outbursts. So that's a beautiful phrase. Des explosions d'enfance, childish outbursts. Okay, and we discover that Juliet can barely contain herself. You see, she is a child. She is not. We said that she was an adolescent, but she's also a child. She's really childish here. And Romeo is going to proclaim his love brashly, B-R-A-S-H-L-Y, brashly.
D'un coup de pinceau?
Brush. No, it's not brush. Brush. A. Brashly.
De manière un peu
Brut.
forte, enfin, oui, brute.
Oui. Qui peut proposer autre chose? Jérémy,
Inconsidéré.
Inconsidéré. Oui, effronté. Brashly. Le plus proche, ce serait effronté. So Romeo is proclaiming his love brashly and blasphemously. Excellent. That's very good. Thank you for your answers. Okay, so what I suggest is that we keep our habits, and you know that we have some habits listening to a lecture. So I suggest that we listen to the summary made by this lecturer that we like a lot. So let's listen to this. It's a summary and an analysis of Act 2, Scene 5. And just after this, perhaps you will need to listen to this twice. Just after this, I will listen to you. Okay, what have you remembered? And just after this, we are going to listen to the whole scene, and I will going to ask you questions about the pronunciation. Okay, so you have what is scheduled. Okay, 1 second, please. Second computer. Is everybody there? Donc, Abdou, c'est bon, vous êtes censé être 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alors, vous êtes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. En fait, il manque... Donc, Samy est là. Il manque Léopold, non? Oui. Il manque Léopold. Bon, alors... Si quelqu'un a son téléphone, c'est... Voilà, j'ai essayé de le joindre. Alors, à ce moment-là, donc, je vous ai dit, je vais vous faire écouter le résumé.
Act 2, Scene 5 of Romeo and Juliet finds Juliet in her room, anxiously waiting for the nurse to return with news. She laments over the nurse's age, clearly slowing her down. When the nurse arrives, Juliet is tormented by her complaining of her fatigue. Finally able to catch her breath, the nurse describes Romeo's beauty and body, but Juliet impatiently replies that she already knows all about that. Finally, the nurse tells Juliet what she needs to know, that she should go immediately to the friar's cell to marry Romeo, who will then come up to her room later that night. Juliet thinks of love as something with speed and force, which the nurse's age prevents her from either appreciating or facilitating. Due to the nurse's age, her role as messenger often leads to confusion as she speaks exhaustedly and frantically. This adds an element of comedy for the audience, but clashes with Juliet and her impatient youth. The nurse also offers a curious commentary on Romeo, declaring him a bad choice. After more complaining about her exhaustion, she goes back on what she says and calls him an honorable gentleman. The nurse's final words affirm marriage as the place for sex.
Okay, so we are going to listen to it a second time. Okay.
Madame, est-ce qu'on pourrait avoir la référence pour le regarder en même temps parce que c'est un peu compliqué.
Vous n'entendez pas là?
Moyennement. Est-ce que
Alors,
ce serait pas...
Ok, c'est beaucoup mieux peut-être. Je ne savais pas en fait pour le son, je ne me rends pas compte. Alors, au fait, Léopold, il n'est pas joignable? Mathias?
En tout cas, moi, j'ai pas son numéro. Je peux essayer de demander sur Facebook.
Moi, je peux essayer de demander. Je peux essayer d'avoir des nouvelles.
C'est gentil, merci. Alors, pour que vous puissiez écouter ça, en effet, faites-le de votre côté. C'est simple. Vous allez sur YouTube et vous tapez Act 2, Scene 5, Romeo and Juliet. C'est la première vidéo qui s'appelle Summary and Analysis. Je vous laisse l'écouter une deuxième fois. On en reparle juste après. D'accord? Le son était mauvais pour tout le monde?
Non, moi ça allait.
Tout le monde a un
Ouais,
accès à l'ordinateur?
ça s'écoutait, mais c'était pas très agréable.
D'accord, je vous laisse écouter alors. Je vous laisse le trouver de votre côté. Je répète, Act 2, Scene 5, Romeo and Juliet, Summary and Analysis. Les vidéos sont violettes, blanches et rouges. Okay, so is it possible to talk about the video and the analysis that we made together?
So we see that this scene is a comic interlude.
We saw.
Yes, we saw. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there is also this this opposition between Juliet, which embody Bayard, and the nurse.
Who embodies, please? Who? Which c'est pour des.
Oh yes, sorry. Yes.
Who embodies and yes.
Who embodies Bayard and the impatient.
Sorry to cut you all the time, but you need to pronounce it youthful.
Youth, yes, okay. And so in the other side, there is the nurse who is much older and who embodies, yes, something more calm, but also more wise, maybe.
Okay, wiser.
Wiser, yes.
Wiser and calmer also on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
On the one hand, on the other. On the other side. I don't know what you said, but you can say on the one hand, on the other hand. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Du coup, j'ai eu des nouvelles de Léopold. Il n'avait pas compris qu'on était sur Discord. Donc voilà.
D'accord, dans ce cas,
je vais essayer de lui dire de venir.
Il nous rejoint. Il peut demander à Alexandre Fab de le rajouter?
Je vais voir déjà. En fait, je crois qu'il n'a même pas Discord, donc je vais essayer de voir avec lui ce qu'il peut faire.
Tu lui as laissé un message, il l'a peut-être pas écouté.
Ouais, je crois qu'il m'a dit que sa boîte avait des problèmes. Bon, je vois avec lui ce qu'il peut faire.
Comme ça. Merci beaucoup, Gaëtan. Who wants to continue? Alexis, Abdou, Jérémy, Mathias, Samy. Samy, on vous a pas entendu du tout depuis le début. Êtes-vous bien là? Oui. Je vous ai vu enlever votre... Là, vous pouvez parler apparemment. Oui.
Le principe, c'est un peu difficile. Enfin, moi, j'ai eu du mal à faire fonctionner le micro. Je sais même pas si vous m'entendez.
On vous entend très bien, Samy. C'est Samy qui...
ok. Non, c'est Jérémy.
Jérémy, on vous entend parfaitement.
D'accord, parce que j'ai eu du mal. Tout à l'heure, je parlais et personne ne me répondait. Je pense que le micro ne marchait pas.
Désolé, là, on vous entend.
D'accord. Je pense que Samy a le même genre de problème, je pense.
Alors, Samy, on l'entend pas en effet. Demandez de l'aide, n'hésitez pas à demander de l'aide à Alexandre, il va vous guider. Alexandre Fabre, vous lui écrivez tout de suite, il vous répond en général très vite.
Sinon, pour la conversation, j'ai fait un petit tuto sur NCA court.
Merci beaucoup. Voilà, vous pouvez, en fait, c'est un système qui fonctionne très bien. Et donc, vous pouvez tout à fait écrire tant que vous voulez, poser des questions, je vous réponds. Il y a le système écrit, oral. Enfin, franchement, l'application, une fois qu'on arrive à s'en servir, ça marche. Okay, Jeremy, is it possible to talk about what we listened to? We can't hear you.
Madame, je viens d'avoir un message de Samy qui me dit qu'il n'arrive pas du tout à parler.
Oui,
juste il nous entend, mais il n'arrive pas à parler.
Bon, c'est pas très très grave, il peut parler par écrit. Enfin, je veux dire parler, il peut écrire.
Je crois même pas.
Alors, il faut qu'il écrive à Alexandre Fabre.
Okay.
C'est pas normal.
Ok.
D'accord? Ok. C'est possible d'écouter Jérémy? On vous entend pas, Jérémy. Ah. Problème de micro. Alors, est-ce que c'est possible d'écouter Alexis?
Oui.
Thank you. So what can we say?
So the nurse thinks that Romeo is a bad choice for Juliet.
He's a poor choice, that's true.
And for the analysis, but she tells to Juliet the plan how to get married with Romeo. And the end of the videos, I haven't understand well, but she said.
Understood well.
I haven't understood well, but the scholar says that that marriage is the place for sex.
At the very end, yeah, because you know there's the reference to the bird's nest. Yes.
Yes. In the written place. Yes.
That's it.
I think that it is all I had understood.
She talks about something that is done frantically. Can you explain frantically?
De manière rapide et paniquée.
Voilà, frénétiquement, hein, we have this word.
Frénétiquement. Okay.
Yeah. And who is exhausted? She talks about someone's exhaustion. Who is exhausted?
The nurse.
The nurse, of course. She feels a huge fatigue. Yes.
But isn't the nurse ironic by saying, "Oh, I'm so tired"? Like, I really cannot guess in the scene if she's playing the tiresome lady in order to bother, or if she's really tired. But I think the one who's most tired, I feel, is Juliet, because she's dying to have an answer.
Yes. Of course, you're right. So it's a kind of mocked exhaustion. But this reference to an exhaustion, it refers to the nurse, but it's a mocked exhaustion. Mocked, ça veut dire feinte, okay? That's not true. That's not genuine. Ce n'est pas authentique, okay? Okay. So either, that's the difference. Either in British English, either in American English. But it can also be, you can also find either in British English, so it's not really a rule. Okay. Who is going to catch her breath? To catch her breath. That's a phrase.
Nurse?
The nurse, of course. I'm out of breath, and then she's going to catch her breath. But it's something mocked also. Do we say to lament on, to lament? What do we say?
Se lamenter.
Yes, but what is the preposition? To lament on, to lament over. What do you say?
To lament on?
To lament
over.
Over. They said to lament over. To lament on is okay. It's not a mistake, but it's perhaps more used to lament over. Okay, and then that's all I think. Okay, so now we are going to listen to the entirety of Act 2, Scene 5. Okay, I hope the sound is going to be good. So is it possible to follow on the written form? Act 2, Scene 5. You can find it, on the internet. So we are going to focus on the text that Shakespeare wrote, and then I will ask you some questions about the spelling and about the way to pronounce some words. Okay? Is it okay with you? If the sound is not okay, tell me, and we will find another way to do this. Okay, 1 second. Okay, was the sound okay? Was it, easy to follow? Yes? Yeah, what did you say?
It cuts sometimes.
Ah, sorry. Okay, so a few questions. So I'm going to write some words and I ask you to pronounce it. So the first one who thinks has the good pronunciation, you tell us. This is the word. It's written on question court. You need to go there. And is it possible to tell me what the pronunciation of this word is?
All does not have the access of the question court channel.
Why? Is it possible to ask Alexandre?
I asked him and he told me that it was for the students in philosophy class.
No. We need to have this also. Who has access to this? Where can I write? Or perhaps I can write to you directly.
In NSA Cours, we can see
what. We are in the channel NSA Cours.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry, this is my fault. Okay, yes. Sorry. This is my fault. Okay, this is the word. You're better than me.
Promised.
Promised. Excellent. Yes.
Sorry, I can't see the words in question court.
No, it's not question court. It's NSA court.
That's fine.
Thank you. Who talked? Samy? Yes, it's Samy. Okay, Samy, thank you. Then.
Désolé, je suis pas dans question court.
NSA court, vous pouvez y être, c'est le salon textuel tout en haut.
Je l'ai pas, moi j'ai que question court pour
il faut voir avec les administrateurs alors.
Alors là, du coup, c'est parce que c'est moi qui vous ai induit en erreur. Je vous ai demandé de lui demander ça. Et du coup, je sais pas ce qui s'est passé. Alors, je lui demande, pourriez-vous... Alors. Donc, NSAE court pour qu'il puisse écrire dessus. D'accord. Alors, deuxième mot, ça va être
youthful.
Redites-moi ça.
Youthful.
Excellent. Youthful et non pas youthful. Youth. Ok, youth. Alors, le fameux mot, ici.
Lead.
Voilà, ça dépend alors. On a eu les deux. Lead, c'est...
lead or lead. Lead, c'est British.
Très bien, bravo.
Et lead, américain.
Parfait. Ensuite, on avait aussi... C'est bon, Gaëtan, parfait.
Either.
Voilà, either, vous m'avez fait la prononciation. Plutôt
British,
British, c'est parfait.
Either, c'est British.
Either, c'est plutôt américain. Mais de plus en plus, franchement, par exemple, vous voyez là, cette conférencière, elle parle un anglais britannique et on l'entend vraiment dire either. Alors, celui-là.
Honest.
Voilà, on prononce pas le H, hein, c'est ça la difficulté. Honest, voilà, pas de H. Alors, là, je vais vous interroger, parce que je suis allée un peu vite tout à l'heure, je vous ai dit c'était l'équivalent de par conséquent, mais c'est pas exactement ça. En relisant, là, je me suis rendu compte. Donc, henceforward, comment vous traduiriez de façon très précise?
Dorénavant.
Bravo, Abdou, dorénavant. Ensuite, qu'est-ce qu'on avait d'autre? C'était tout, voilà, je voulais vous interroger là-dessus. Très bien. So, you listen to this. Is it possible to talk about this, to establish together some analysis? For example, Juliet talks about at the very beginning of this scene. What can we say? Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, Juliet talks about the thoughts at the very beginning of the scene. What does she say concerning the thoughts? They are very quick, okay, faster than the speed of light. And it's interesting because they're quick, but they're also very powerful. Okay. There is a metaphor. Romeo, what's the metaphor which enables to talk about Romeo? Romeo is a... He's not, sorry, that's the country. He's not the flower of...
Courtesy.
Courtesy, excellent. Okay. Okay, is it possible to talk about the nurse? To talk about the nurse's attitude? Who wants to do this?
Can you please repeat?
Yes, I can repeat. Is it possible to talk about the nurse and her attitude in this scene?
So the nurse is both mocking Juliet and also giving her quite some kind of lesson, I don't know, or just telling her she's not doing the right choice.
She's fainting H's on her back.
It aches. She says that it aches. Pronunciation aches. Okay.
Aches. Okay.
It aches.
I really liked her attitude. I thought it was funny because usually at that time, also kind of a revenge, because at that time servants, nurse, etc. were considered as less than humans by people as rich and as and with the social position of Juliet and Romeo, and the fact that she comes and mocks her a little bit, I found it really funny and a bit an inversion of the social hierarchy at the time, because the one who's supposed to be the master, which is Juliet, is begging the nurse to tell her what she knows. And yeah, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, very nice remark. So she pokes fun at her. Can you remember this? That's a phrase, to poke fun. P-O-K-E and fun. And that was excellent. The remark was absolutely excellent. No mistakes, just hierarchy. You know, the pronunciation, hierarchy of the time. And there's a lot, as I think Alexis said this before, there's a lot of dismissive remarks from the nurse. Des remarques un peu condescendantes. So your two answers said things that were corresponding a lot. There's a lot of dismissive remarks, des remarques condescendantes. Yes, thank you very much. Hierarchy. We are going to listen to this word. Hierarchy. 1 second. It's a little difficult to pronounce. Hierarchy. You see, hierarchy. This is British English. Okay, so is it possible to add something concerning the nurse's attitude? Alexis? Or Gaëtan?
We see that despite the fact that the nurse looked at Juliet, she has to respect her will, and she has to prepare the ladder of fruit and to respect the hierarchy.
Yes, a rope ladder. I think it's better to say this way. A rope ladder. Une échelle faite en corde, rope ladder. Okay, the fabric is put before. Yes, thank you very much. And is it possible to talk? Yeah, sorry, Abdou.
Yes, for the attitude of the nurse, I think the nurse is wiser than Juliet, and Juliet is, on the contrary, more in the haste for the news. And I think yes, there is a contrast between the two characters in this scene.
Yes, you're right. I think it's also possible to say this. Okay. Is it possible to talk about Juliet now?
I thought Juliet was really cute. Like, she's 12, she's in love with someone, and she's waiting for like like Shakespeare writes it as it is, as a 12-year-old would be, impatient to know. Yeah.
Yeah, she's both. I think she's both a child and an adolescent, because and this this combination is quite interesting. As you said, she's a little more than 12. She's 13 years old, but she's very young. So she's both a child. We talked about her childish outbursts and also an adolescent. And there is a wonderful poem. I don't know if you read Les Contemplations, book 1, Victor Hugo. And in this book, there is a poem called La Coccinelle. Okay, Ladybird. And there is this same ambiguity, because at some moment you have childish outbursts. He takes the ladybird, but at some moments this ladybird is on the neck of a very beautiful woman, and the ladybird is depicted as pink, and it's not red, and it's just how sensual it appears for him. And so there is this ambiguity between childhood and adulthood, and the world of the play, the world of the children, and the world of the adolescent he is. Because actually Victor Hugo wrote it, and he was 28 years old, but he refers to a period at which his age was 16. So he was definitely an adolescent. Okay, so I suggest that you read this poem, La Coccinelle, Les Contemplations, livre 1, Victor Hugo, and you will be able to establish the parallel between this combination of of childhood and adolescence. Thank you very much for your remark. Matthias, is it possible to talk about what you think of Juliet?
Yes. I guess that even if she's at the beginning, how to say that?
I don't know.
So she's presented as very young at the beginning of the scene, and very I don't know if we can say that, hot-headed, almost.
Very. What do you want to say?
That she's really on her feeling. I don't know how to.
En fait, hot-headed, ça veut dire chaleureusement.
No, hot-headed. No, mais I mean that she's really.
En fait, hot-headed, c'est pas possible, hein. Mais vous pouvez dire par exemple hearty, ça fonctionne.
Ok.
Si vous voulez dire, je pense que c'est ça que vous voulez dire, je suis pas sûre, mais pour dire chaleureux, c'est ça. Hearty. H-E-A-R-T-Y.
Non, c'est plus qu'elle était très sur ses.
Un peu tête brûlée, je pense.
Voilà, c'est un peu ça.
Ah, hothead.
Yeah, this is what I said.
Okay, she's hothead. Sorry. That's it. Good. In one word, hothead.
Hothead, and this behavior is even more emphasized because of the opposite behavior of the nurse, who is acting slowly. So it's sort of I guess that in this scene Shakespeare wanted to show us that Juliet was still a very young woman. She had a lot to learn.
She represents youth. Excellent.
Youth.
Yes.
She's youthful.
Yes, she is full of youth. She is youthful, as the nurse said. Elle est juvénile, hein, youthful, vous traduirez par juvénile. Vous pouvez parler de la jeunesse, soit vous dites, c'est souvent le cas en anglais, hein, par exemple wealth ou bien wealthiness pour parler de la richesse, et vous pouvez aussi dire youth ou bien youthfulness. Les deux se disent, d'accord? C'est la petite difficulté. Thank you very much. So, I suggest that we study Act 2, Scene 6. So, that's the last scene of Act 2. It's very, very short, and I think we have time to study this now. So, I will ask you some questions after, and as usual, I will ask you for the vocabulary. So, Friar Lawrence is going to make the marriage between the two lovers possible. Join your hands with holy words. And he's a holy man, you know. He's going to be a little anxious. Thus, sudden joys have sudden endings. So for him, they are too quick-tempered. You should love with moderation. He's the wise man. And as we said, he's a proponent of moderation all the time. So for him, this kind of love is a kind of gunpowder. Can you give me a translation for gunpowder, please?
Feu à la poudre.
C'est ça,
Ouais,
c'est la poudre.
ouais, feu à la
Poudre
poudre.
au feu, pardon.
La poudre.
When they meet, as in a kiss, they explode. You know, it will be a kind of explosion. So Friar Lawrence is going to represent the wise man, saying that these violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fine and powder, which as they kiss consume. The sweetest honey is lovesome in his own deliciousness. There's here a beautiful metaphor. Vous avez compris, donc le miel le doux est détestable à partir du fait même qu'il est délicieux. And in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately. Donc distinguez bien henceforward, dorénavant, et therefore par conséquent. I repeat, these violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder. Sorry, I said fine, fire, of course, which as they kiss consume. The sweetest honey is lovesome in his own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately. So it's the second time that we find this idea of the golden mean. Okay, the fact that you should, there is, it's important to find this, what Aristotle called médiété, this right middle, this golden mean. Okay, so Romeo and Juliet, problem of rhythm. And pleasure is flimsy. What does it mean, flimsy? F-L-I-M-S-Y, flimsy. Yes? Pleasure, I repeat if you want, pleasure is flimsy. What does it mean, please?
Éphémère, léger, bon mot.
Oui, voilà, c'est ça, c'est fragile, peu solide, ça va pas durer. Donc c'est l'équivalent entre peu solide, enfin c'est le mélange de peu solide, enfin tout simplement, voilà, fragile, ça, sous-entendu, ça ne va pas durer. I have more on my mind than words. She talks, Juliette here talks about something ineffable. C'est un mot qui existe en français et en anglais. Lorsque quelque chose est trop subtil pour être dit, vous pouvez dire ineffable. I-N-E-F-F-A-B-L-E. And then there is a very beautiful sentence. Juliet is going to say, anyone who can count how much he has is poor. My true love have made me so rich that I can't count even half of my wealth. Qui que ce soit qui peut compter combien il a est pauvre. Mon véritable amour m'a rendu si riche que je ne peux compter la moitié de cette richesse. I repeat, anyone who can count how much he has is poor. My true love have made me so rich that I can't count even half of my wealth. Does it ring a bell? Think about your lessons in philosophy in grade 12. Grade 12 represents the last year of high school. Okay. So college means university, you know this. College. If you want to say collège, secondary school. Kindergarten for very small children, infants, and then primary school, secondary school, high school, college, university, Sycamore, not Sycamore, first year in the United States. I will find this the next course. Okay, so does it ring a bell here? The birth of Eros. Who can talk about the birth of Eros? Eros' birth. Are you there?
Yes.
Ah, yes, you're there. Is it possible to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Eros' birth. He's both poor and rich, and he's rich because he's poor and poor because he's rich. He's the son of Pinia and Poros. Poros represents wealthiness and Pinia represents scarcity, you know? So this is why he inherits from those two characteristics, those two features. He's both poor and rich. And we can perhaps say, as Juliet tries to say, that he is rich because he's poor and conversely poor because he's rich, because he is rich when he desires, okay, when he lacks something. And when he has everything, I think it's not possible, but imagine he's absolutely, he has everything he wants, then he becomes to be poor. So there's a parallel we can establish with Juliet's discourse. She says, if I can count how rich I am, I'm not rich at all. So here there's the same kind of paradox when Eros is rich, he's poor, and conversely, when he's poor, he is rich. Okay? So this scene, Act 2, Scene 6, takes place in Friar Lawrence's cell. And he hopes that the heavens are happy in marriage, so bad things don't result from it. We said that he was a holy man. And he hopes that nothing can outdo the happiness, outdo, défaire, in one word, outdo. So it's absolutely crazy because they just met actually how many hours ago? Is it possible to tell me how many hours ago they just met?
12 hours, no more?
Perhaps a little more, no more than 24. So you're quite correct. 24 hours maximum. So imagine the friar agrees to marry them less than 24 hours after they met. So it's a bit bizarre, you know? It's really, really strange. And so they wait for Juliet to at the cell, and Juliet's footsteps are so gentle and delicate that she will never survive the difficult road of life. This is what Shakespeare wrote. So she encounters an ecstatic Romeo who brashly states that he does not care what misfortune might come, okay? As it will pale in comparison to the joy he feels right now. So he feels really strong in his happiness. I can repeat if you need. An ecstatic Romeo brashly states that he does not care what misfortune might come, as it will pale in comparison to the joy he feels right now. All those misfortunes would pale in comparison to the joy he feels. It's the moment Friar Lawrence counsels Romeo to love moderately. Okay, those who can so easily describe their worth are beggars. Ceux qui peuvent si facilement décrire leur valeur sont des mendiants. So here we can also think about the myth of the birth of Eros. Let me give you some more elements concerning this myth. Eros was conceived on the day that Aphrodite was born. Pronunciation Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, and during the celebration held by the gods to celebrate her birth. Okay, so he was conceived the same day as this celebration. Eros is poor when rich and rich when poor. Okay, so perhaps we can just quote from Plato here. Concerning the myth of this birth, which can be quite interesting. When they had feasted, Pinia came begging. Pinia is
Mother of
the fortune, the goddess of fortune,
la pauvresse,
the goddess.
The goddess of yes, but think about Eros.
Her mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. Pinia is Eros' mother. So, when they had feasted, Pinia came begging, as poverty does when there is a party, and stayed by the gates. Now, Poros got drunk on nectar and feeling drowsy. Can you give me the translation? Drowsy, sorry. D-R-O-W-S-Y, drowsy. Drowsy, no, you don't know. It means somnolent. Okay.
Somnolent.
Somnolent, c'est ça. J'avais pas entendu. Vous avez dit ça?
Oui.
Ah, ok, on n'avait pas entendu. Feeling drowsy. So Poros, I mean, not she, he. Poros got drunk. And feeling drowsy, he went into the garden of Zeus, where he fell asleep. Then Phineas schemed up a plan. To scheme up. S-C-H-E-M-E-D. What does it mean?
Faire un plan.
Excellent. So to scheme up, sorry. So, comploter, vous pouvez dire aussi. Hein? So she schemed up a plan to relieve her lack of resources. Pour soulager son manque de ressources. She would get a child from Paris. Think about Schopenhauer here. He wrote that in order to prevent the future generations to sink into oddity, we had to compensate a lot of different features. For example, if you're really tall, you're going to fall in love with very small women, in order to prevent the future generations to sink into oddity. Oddity, donc de sombrer dans des bizarreries, des absurdités. Donc ici, elle est très pauvre, elle va être attirée par la richesse. So, a plan to relieve her lack of resources. She would get a child from Paris. So she lay beside him and got pregnant with love, Eros, okay? And that is why love was born to follow Aphrodite and serve her, because he was conceived on the day of her birth. And that's why he's also by nature a lover of beauty, because Aphrodite herself is especially beautiful. She is the goddess of beauty, okay? So this is an excerpt from the myth of the birth of Eros, as Plato tells this. Okay, so Shakespeare here in this scene, which is perhaps the most important because they get married, Shakespeare emphasizes the thrilling joy of young and romantic love. Thrilling.
Excitant.
Excellent, passionnant, excitant. The euphoria of love dominates the scenes. Some ominous foreshadowing is revealed. So you have a kind of opposition. While the euphoria of love dominates this scene, some ominous foreshadowing is revealed. Can you translate ominous foreshadowing? Ominous, O-M-I-N-O-U-S.
Mauvais signe, mauvais présage.
Excellent, voilà. Foreshadowing, c'est un présage et un présage sinistre. Merci Jérémy, mauvais présage. Voilà, comme ça on a l'écrit et l'oral, c'est parfait. So the nurse's joking game in which she delays telling Juliet the news will find its sad mirror in a future scene when the nurse's anguish prevents her relating news to Juliet and thereby causing terrible confusion. Ok, vous avez compris. Donc j'étais en train de vous expliquer que les blagues de la nourrice qui permettent de repousser la nouvelle vont trouver un écho dans une scène future où l'angoisse de la nourrice empêche finalement la révélation des informations et vont causer une terrible confusion. Ça va se retrouver après. So these violent delights have violent ends, but that's another. How could we call this? Friar Lawrence is saying this. These violent delights have violent ends. This is how can it be called?
A phrase.
A threat, excellent. And think about a word that we just used. This is a phrase.
Foreshadowing.
Excellent, Abdul. Foreshadowing, of course. So buzzwords reinforce the presence and power of fate. Except Friar Lawrence, you need to understand that except this friar, every character follows passion and forsakes moderation. To forsake, please. What does it mean?
Forsake, you said?
No, I said forsake.
Abandonner?
Excellent.
Laisser tomber?
Abandonner, laisser tomber. Excellent. So the friar notes the destructiveness of this way of acting. Destructiveness. Le caractère destructif. After expanding his belief. To expand?
Étendre.
Voilà, exposer. After expanding, exposer, c'est ça. After expanding his belief, the friar gets himself embroiled in all of the excess and passion he counsels against. d'une certaine manière, on peut dire qu'après avoir exposé sa croyance, son opinion, le moine se trouve embroiled.
Il se retrouve confiné, enfermé dans cette situation.
Voilà, entraîné. C'est aussi l'idée d'être entraîné. Embroiled in all of the excess and passion he counsels against. Vous faites bien attention, vous mettez against à la fin. Against. Okay. So, the passion here is destructive, but also exquisitely beautiful. And the question perhaps is this one. If Romeo and Juliet were moderate in their affection, their love would not strike such a chord. Vous voyez, en fait, on peut se dire, okay, the wise man says love moderately, but if Romeo and Juliet were moderate in their affection, their love would not strike such a chord. Can you give me a translation for this, to strike a chord?
Quelque chose de familier, ça me rappelle quelque chose.
Ça, c'est plutôt, it rings a bell.
Rings a bell, toucher un point sensible.
Exactement, c'est ça. C'est toucher la corde sensible. To strike such a chord. Okay? Excellent. So, can we talk about the new organization? Because I don't know how long it will last. It will be easier for the next course, next week. So, a student recorded it. En fait, ça a été enregistré. Je repasse au français, on a terminé là. Ça a été enregistré. Ça veut dire que si certains passages n'étaient pas très clairs, bah, vous pouvez le réécouter. C'est accessible peut-être 1 heure ou 2 après, je ne sais pas exactement. Voilà. Donc, vous voyez qu'on peut écrire sur Ensaiku et puis interagir. Bon, moi, j'ai trouvé ça bien pour l'interaction. Voilà. Bon, forcément, rien ne remplace un cours officiel, mais voilà. On a ça pour l'instant. Si jamais vous trouvez que Teams marche beaucoup mieux, est-ce que quelqu'un a des retours sur Teams? Vous avez fait cours avec Teams?
Jamais essayé.
Oui, moi j'ai fait cours avec Teams. Je sais pas, je trouve que les deux sont équivalents, mais après.
Moi j'ai préféré Teams personnellement. Mais...
Moi je trouve que ça lag en fait, Teams.
Pourquoi vous avez préféré Teams? C'est Gaëtan qui a préféré Teams?
C'est Mathias.
Mathias. Vous pouvez nous expliquer,
tout à l'heure, on avait cours de japonais sur Teams et c'était bien parce qu'on voyait. Je trouve déjà les caméras se voir. Je pense que ça augmente un peu l'interaction et on se doit d'être plus là, quoi.
D'accord.
Donc, voilà.
Très bien.
C'est juste ça.
C'est juste ça, d'accord. Écoutez, voilà. Bon, pour les autres, vous n'avez pas de préférence?
Non, moi je trouvais ça très bien.
Ah, qui parlait en même temps?
C'est moi, mais je suis pas tout seul. Non, ça s'est bien passé.
Ça, c'est Abdou?
Oui. Moi, je trouvais ça bien.
Parfait, bah écoutez, voilà, parce que j'avais un problème avec ça, c'était comme ça. Écoutez, si jamais j'arrive à résoudre mon problème, je vous tiendrai informé, mais pour l'instant, on a ce système. Jérémy, vous avez du mal avec la connexion? Oui, mais le même problème se posera sur Teams, non? Je sais pas. Oui, bah oui. Ok. Écoutez, voilà, on a ça pour l'instant. Ça va durer. Très bien. Ben, merci beaucoup de votre participation. Moi aussi, j'ai apprécié parce que vous avez participé. Dans ce cas, je suis pas toute seule, entourée de 4 ordis. Non, en fait, j'exagère. J'ai 2 ordis, un téléphone et derrière une chaîne pour vous faire écouter Roméo et Juliette. Mais bon, voilà. Au moins, il y a quand même de l'interaction. Parfait. Je vous laisse à vos réflexions et donc je vous dis à mercredi prochain. Si jamais il n'y a pas de nouvelles entre-temps, ça veut dire qu'on se retrouve sur Discord. Voilà. Bon après-midi.
D'accord. Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Au revoir.
Au revoir.